Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad that you are here. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Hey Girl Hey with Brandi.
Hey,
And
Danielle.
yes, and Danielle. Oh, can you close that door real quick? Sorry. All right. So this is Hey Girl Hey with Brandi. Thank you so much for joining. This is a space, I created a space where I bring in mental health professions, therapists, and also bringing people in to talk and tell their story about how they overcame trauma. This particular one is special. This is my oldest daughter. She is, everybody knows Danylle.
The
And
life of the party.
uh, girl, bye.
That's what everyone at her job says.
Uh,
I'm just so fun.
Anyways, so before we kick this off and get started, I just want to put a disclaimer out there for everyone who is listening. If this is your first time, welcome. Hey, girl. So glad that you're here. If you are a continuous viewer, hey, what's up? If you're watching the replay, girl, how you doing? All right. So, Hey Girl Hey is a platform to discuss mental health and learn from professionals and those with their own experiences. If you believe you need support, please reach out to a professional. The information shared here is not in lieu of getting professional support. So, if you don't know, me and Danielle, we share the same birthday. I gave birth to this child 19 years ago.
18. You had me on your 18th
I know
birthday.
18 birthday, but you're 19 now. So 19 years ago on my 18th birthday. Oh my
Oh,
gosh. Yeah. Get it together. Hey y'all, for those of you who are joining, what's up? So anyways, our birthday is coming up. It is Wednesday. So make sure that y'all celebrate with us. Go ahead and put a happy birthday down at the bottom in the chat. If you're live watching, and even if you're not live watching replay, go on ahead and say happy birthday. What? So Danielle and I in this session, we decided that we wanted to talk about some things as her experience as being a teen mom. She's an adult slash adult teenager,
I turned
whatever.
20
Oh my
in like
gosh.
a couple of days.
Whoa. So we wanted to share our experience about what we went through as mom and daughter, as of course, as a parent who had their own baggage or stuff that I brought into this relationship. And because I didn't take the appropriate or the time or
Sorry.
to heal, those things also affected Danielle. And so we want to talk a little bit about that and how we had family therapy, but also we want to talk about some of the things as a teenager, some of the experiences that Danielle had as a teenager going through high school, and some of the mental health challenges that some of the teens come across throughout their high school years. So I'm going to kick it off and kind of talk about, well, let me introduce Danielle. So Danielle currently is at TCC. This is going into your freshman slash sophomore year. She is going for kinesiology. And she really, and right now she serves as a leader with Create and Collaborate as a part of their leadership team for the Serve team. Hey, girl. Hey, what's up, Dr. G in the house? What? And Shanika, what up, girl? Hey. So Danielle is on the Serve team of Create and Collaborate, where she will be spending time going to high schools and mentoring other students and basically pouring back into other students what's been poured into her. And she's actually one of the participants of Create and Collaborate. So shout out to Rick Archer. Thank you for all your love and support, girl. All right, so we're gonna kick this off. We're gonna talk a little bit about us a little bit. Because we weren't always
Why
here.
don't we start like forward and then go back to where
Okay,
we
so
are
what's
now?
your forward?
So I guess starting in the past to now,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So I think one thing, like as a teenager, like I think you would know, like you don't tell your parents everything.
Mhm.
So that one boy that you probably told your mom about, and your mom or your dad was like, stop talking to them. You probably didn't stop talking to them. But sometimes you just need that safe, like just a safe space. Like I have now.
So what you're talking about is when Danylle talks about going backwards, what happened is that during Danyelle's high school years,
It was not easy. High school is very hard. Okay. Take it easy on your kids. It is not an easy thing to go through. You're really trying to figure yourself out as a person because you're not a kid anymore, but you're not an adult. You're kind of in that in between. You're just trying to figure out your personality, what you like, your aesthetics, I guess. Yeah. Now that's what your aesthetic, your style, your fashion. Like I feel like that's the time period that you go through where you're just like, who am I? Yeah. And you're kind of figuring that out. So just take it easy on your kids. They're going through a lot.
So one of the things that me and Danylle spoke about before we actually kicked this off is that we talked about how my past experience and my household and how I grew up spilled over into how I responded to Danylle, which put her in a position where sometimes Danylle didn't feel open to talk to me about certain things. And so something that we were talking about was really about the open space.
Yes.
About, from a teenage perspective, like how important is that and why is it important?
I think it's important because one, you're going to school and you're trying to figure yourself out. And if you can't have high school, I'm not saying your friends are always true to you because some of them aren't, but some of them aren't. And you're going and you think that that's your safe space until it blows up on you. And you're like, oh, I thought we were cool. Uh-huh. So then your safe space, you feel like is just yourself. And that's not okay because it's like you're just holding everything in within yourself. Mm-hmm. So if you have that safe space with your parent, it's like it gives you a place to open up, talk, get everything off your chest. Mm-hmm. And maybe your mom will hopefully they don't respond the way my mom used to respond to me.
So yes, my responses were a little harsh because of a lot of my upbringing. So shout out to my dad and any of my family members who are watching. And it's nothing against my father, but I grew up in a single parent household and it was a male. So from that perspective, and nothing against Hispanics, but my dad is Hispanic, and the stereotype with Hispanic men is that they're a little more controlling. There's anger and things like that. And it's very stereotypical. Yeah, that's the word. Sorry. But because of a lot of that, which some of those things were true, I gained some of that pain, whatever hurt that he was getting. And so whenever Danylle would come to me, I would kind of brush it off, or it was more of a, we're not talking about that right now because it made me feel uncomfortable, but she was comfortable enough to come to me to talk about those things. And so thinking about that perspective, like how can that make a teenager feel, especially when they're going through a lot of changes?
The big word is just the word is just alone. Mm-hmm. You feel really alone. And you're just like, well, what do I do? Because you either go to school and ask and you're getting advice from other people your age.
Yeah.
And that's just horrible. And now that I look at it, I'm like, I was asking somebody else about relationship advice. And we were probably going through the exact same thing.
The exact same thing. Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is ask somebody else that's the same age as you, or going through the same thing, and y'all both like, well, we'll just do whatever we want and figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot of lessons there. But I think it's just you feel alone because when you ask that person at school, you're like, oh my gosh, it's kind of like maybe it's something that's against your morals, and then you go to your mom and you're just like, she's not really listening. She doesn't really care. So then you would think okay, this person is going against what I believe, and then this person just doesn't seem to care. Mm-hmm. So you just kind of fold in and you try to handle everything yourself, and everyone knows you're not supposed to handle everything yourself.
Yeah.
It's just not good. And it's even worse is like from the ages of like 13 to I guess 18, whatever, when you're trying to deal with it all alone, it's like horrible.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've learned, so kind of moving a little bit forward, I think around towards your sophomore, it might have been sooner, maybe it was sophomore or junior year. That's when we had to find someone else to intervene, and that's when we started
No,
getting
that
it
started
wasn't,
happening later. I started going to therapy on my own.
but then me and
Like,
you, I'm
yeah,
talking about me and you.
we started senior year.
Okay, senior
After I
year.
left.
Okay, so just so junior, senior year. And we started going to go see, I think it was like your junior year, but anyways, because it was a wow. It was for a long time.
No. I went to therapy by myself, and you went to therapy by yourself.
Yes.
But when we went together, that didn't happen until senior year. The first meeting we had together was senior year.
Okay, so my timing is wrong. Okay. So anyways, through that, what I learned is how I respond not only to Danylle, but also my other children. So I have 3 girls. If you don't know me, if this is your first time being here, I have 3 girls. But in particular with Danylle, there was so much buildup, and we're not going to go into all of that, but there was so much buildup from middle school leading up to that. And because of where we come from and the way that I would respond to Danylle, that explosion was an emotion that just erupted from so much. And in those conversations that I would have by myself and with Danylle, and I'm gonna tell y'all now, like for a mom who wasn't really receptive and you're really trying to mend this relationship, um it sometimes can feel like when you're in these therapy sessions, you feel like, well, I'm right. Like I'm the parent, like I know better. But your children, I recognize that through this, that Danylle taught me how to respond. Like we even had a code. What did we had a
Like
code
word. Or like before I was teaching them, like, okay, mom, you just need to relax.
Yeah.
I was like, if you need to sit back and drink you a glass of wine right now, that's what you need to do. But it was just letting her know, like, I'm gonna tell you something that you might not like.
Yeah.
I need you to respond in a way of like
listening.
Just listen. You can save your advice for later.
Yeah.
Just right now, I don't need nothing. Just listen. It's just like sometimes you have to be straight up.
Yeah.
Like with.
But that was with help with the therapist that we were seeing because we needed something to identify, hey, I just need you to listen, or hey, I really want your advice. And through those cues, it helped me to understand today, like little things that I could tell how you're talking. I'm like, okay, she just wants me to listen.
Yeah.
She doesn't want me to respond.
Until later. Usually I don't want your advice. Like I'm done. I'll be like, okay, this is the whole story. Yeah. This is like the outline and everything. Okay, now you can.
Yeah, exactly.
And if she ever does cut me off, I'll be like, Mom, I wasn't done. And she'll be like, oh. Okay.
But it was due to us really having someone professional come in and help us to help me understand her perspective, but also help Danylle to see my perspective as a parent. And there was moments where both of us, when we did ours together, moments where I was shocked and surprised, like, okay, I didn't realize that my response was doing that. And vice versa, like Danylle was kind of shocked at some of the things on how I felt about how I would like to respond to her. And so through that, I feel like, and I really admonish parents that through this teenage relationship, that if you feel like that you're not understanding your child, then go seek help. It's okay to have somebody else come in and to help not narrate, but facilitate these conversations so that
just also have an open, an open mind. Because for a while, I would tell my mom, like, I just don't feel okay. And it was just like, well, why? And I was like, I can't explain to you why, or I don't know how to put it all together to explain to you why I don't feel okay. And then it was just like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. It was just like, go. And it was like, okay, I need a break. Like,
but that's good that you bring that up.
Like, to explain it, because it's like, it's a lot going on. And to parents, it's just like, you just go to school. Like, yeah, that's all you do. You go to school, and it's like, school is a lot. I deal with like a whole bunch of different people. I go to like 7 different classes in one day, and it's a whole bunch of different people. This teacher's rude. I got one nice teacher. This one over here don't really teach that good. And then I got to come home and do homework. It's not really like it's an all day event. Like, you go to work, I go to school, but it's like, and you used to tell me all the time, I deal with a bunch of people. And I'm just like, so do I. Like, you know, I mean, granted, you might have one person who stays consistent with all your classes and is in the same classroom as you, but for the most part, they have different people every day. And for me, it was just like, I don't even want to get to know half of y'all. Yeah. It's too many of y'all. I can barely remember y'all's names. I'd be like, oh, you mean the guy with the curly hair? Okay, I know who that is. Which Elijah? The tall one or the short one? Yeah. Which, I don't know. But it's like, it wasn't even like, I remember your name. It was, I know how you look. And that's it. It's just, we have so much going through our heads sometimes. It's just like, by the end of the day, by the time we get home, we just be like, we're done. You're done.
Oh my gosh. Such a TikTok. Yes, sometimes as parents, we don't always understand that you all have life stresses also. Yeah, that was Letitia. Shout out, Letitia. Hey, girl. So glad you're here. It's right here. So yes, you're right, Letitia. So because of my upbringing, and I'm so glad Letitia is here. Because of my upbringing and the way that I received responses when I was dealing with stuff, I didn't deal with as much pressure as y'all did. Yeah. But and I'm kind of going to go into a little bit of this space of where sometimes your child may not find their clique, their people. Yeah. Sometimes what happens is that it's easy to fall into, if you're someone who's in sports, you hang with the sports people. If you're a cheerleader, you hang with the cheerleaders. If you're in science club, you hang with the science club. But then there's this group of kids who are still trying to maneuver and navigate who's my people. And, you know, Danylle, I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about this. And I think we did kind of talk a little bit about this, but like, how was that? Because in the first year you were doing gymnastics.
No, the first year I was sticking with my middle school friends, which just exploded on itself. Yeah. Like, one guy was, can I say the word? We're just going to say curvy.
We're using code words.
Yeah, curvy, you know what I mean? The rainbow. And he just could not stand me because I believed in God, and gods are against, all things, rainbow, they, I was like, no. To me, I've always had an open mind about that. I'm like, look, you're in my life. You're not going anywhere. Yeah. You're in the world. Either way, you're a person, I'm a person. I see you just as human as I am. And that's the way I saw it. But those group of friends, it just like exploded on each other because they were so close to him that they were just like, forget you. And then they started talking about me. And I was like, okay, I see how it is. I used to give y'all snacks.
Girl,
when you used to make my lunch.
Danylle, what advice would you give parents who often think that kids have no stress?
Don't think your kid has no stress. We try to play it cool. I still do now. I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. And by the time I get home, I'm like, no, how are you going to do all of this? There's no way that you're going to do all of this. Somehow I make it work because it is a lot. But don't assume that your kid is not stressed at all. Because I will tell you right now, when I used to get stressed, I used to break down and I'd be like, leave me alone. You don't talk to me. Kylie, get out my room. And it was just like, leave me alone. And I would just break down. And it was just like, okay, all right. I still do it sometimes.
Yeah.
I know, like last semester, I was like, done.
Yeah.
Like I would just break down. And it was just like, okay, she needs some time to figure it out. Just don't ever assume that your kid doesn't have anything going on.
The teacher said not snacks. Yeah.
Like, don't assume that your kid doesn't have anything going on, because we take, mainly as a freshman or sophomore year is when it gets real, because freshman year, they're slowly trying to introduce you into high school. Sophomore year, they're like, all right, get it together, because, you know, colleges are going to start looking at your GPA.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh. And then if you didn't get it together by sophomore year, they'd be like, all right, junior year is your last year to get it together. If your GPA ain't that, then you're going to have to go to a community college or something. And then even then, they tell kids that it wasn't a known thing.
Yeah.
Because for my school, you had to be an avid to understand like exactly what colleges want. But then when I started talking to like other people, they're like, oh yeah, you know, colleges want you to join extracurricular activities. They not just one. They don't want you just in one. They want you in at least two. But you also have schoolwork, and let's say you do sports. Oh, then there goes your 4 things, and that takes up almost your whole day. And then sophomore, junior years, when you start getting a job, and you're just like, I'm done by the end of the day. You're just out of there. I think. I know for me, I was just like.
Well, it kind of reminds me, Shanika, that's a really good question. So it kind of reminds me, as you're going through that, Shanika, think about as a parent. I don't know. I have 3 girls, so I'll use me. I'm telling my story. But just think about if one child is in dance, the other one is in swim, the other one is in cheerleading, and then, you know, whatever. And then you're managing your stuff. So then you want to go hang out with your girlfriends. You got to go to work. You got to manage projects. You got to manage the schedules of your kids and making sure that they get light. If you get stressed doing all of that and still having to come home, cook, and if you're married, you be a wife and communicate with your kids and talk to them and make sure everything is all right in the household. I just imagine what a child is going through. Like if you deal with stress and you're trying to figure out how do I navigate through stress, then just imagine what these kids are being bombarded with.
Yeah, I saw this TikTok where it was like, okay, this is like a real thing.
Okay.
She works in a daycare, and a woman had got mad that a kid was throwing a temper tantrum. And she's like, you don't understand, like this kid is 5, literally like half of our size. It's a smaller body to contain emotions.
Yeah.
They don't even know the emotions that they're feeling at this point. Like they're literally 5. You may know you're sad or happy, but anything outside of that, you're just like, what is this emotion? What is this feeling? So that's the way I see it. Like we're like half y'all's age. I don't mean to be rude. We're like half y'all's age. And to us, it feels a lot more like, oh my gosh. And to you, you're just like, oh, you're stressed. Like you'll find a way to handle it. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like what are we doing here? You know, like we don't even know what we're doing. And when you have a parent that either assumes or tries to tell you just like, oh, figure it out. It's just like,
I don't even know what I'm figuring out.
Yeah, you're right. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
like, what do I do? And then people are like, oh, time management. Well, how do I start managing my time? Because I know for me, until I got to college, a planner was not helping me manage my time. I was just like, that's just another thing I got to worry about fixing up to do. Well, let me write in my planner that I have to do today. I already know that I have to do that today. It's just more, it just felt like at the time in high school, it felt like more stuff to pile on top of each other. Now that I'm in college, go get you a planner. Okay? It will save your life. In high school, you know, I say maybe get a whiteboard or something. I don't know. Something just to write it down, because when you just think about it in your head, it seems like so much. It's like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to get everything done.
Yeah.
But when you see it written out, it's like, okay. It's not that much. It is a lot, because school does take up like what, 8 hours? Yeah. 7, 8 hours.
Oh, Lord.
I think of your day. And then it's
the
like.
The teachers say, yes, planners. And yes.
Since school takes up literally most of your day, you're just like, what? By the time I get out of school, it's about like what, 4:00? Yeah. Schools get out around 3:45, 4:00. It's you have like you get home and you're like, oh, it's 5. Oh, guess what? We got dinner. Oh, guess what? We got to eat. And it's like, oh, and I still got to do homework.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, but my friends also want me to have a social life.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I had a hard time keeping up with friends.
Yeah.
Because not only did your family want to do stuff together.
Yeah.
And if you were to blow them off to go hang out with your friends, you was looked at as like, your sister doesn't want to hang out with us today.
Oh my God. Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
Girl, bye.
But like, you know, you kind of, it's hard.
Okay, Brandi, do you feel life was much easier when we grew up as kids versus this generation? Yes. Yes. I feel like we weren't exposed to as much as as much as their generation today was exposed to. We are the generation who built the exposure, because our generation, like, think about Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, hopefully I'm saying his last name right, but I think he's about our age, or if not younger, maybe. But he was the one who built this up. Like, we grew up with this stuff, so we've seen the woes of it. But they come out the womb with it. Boom, it's in your face. And so, yeah. So yes, I do the boom. So I do think that their pressures are a little bit more compared to what we had. Our pressures were what Jordans, what shoes, if I'm wearing K-Swiss or the name brand clothes to school, so that nobody would make fun of me.
And also, I think the other thing is colleges raise their GPA a certain point almost like every 5-6 years or something like that. So it's actually getting harder to get in. So when I needed to go what school was I going to go to?
Was it Midwestern, LSU?
It was a lot of schools that required like a 3.4, right?
Yeah.
Or a 3.5. It was 3.5. My GPA, I'm going to say it was like, what, a 3 point something.
Yeah.
It was in there, but it wasn't a 5. So
a 4.
Yeah, I think so. It was a 3.4. Mm-hmm. I had a 3.4 GPA, and the crazy thing was, for some schools, my GPA was perfect, but I still didn't get in because I wasn't in enough activities. Oh, she didn't do enough. She didn't do any community service. Mm-hmm. That's another thing they look for, community service. They want you in extracurriculars. They want to see if you can be a leader. Yeah. What can you lead? And it's just like, oh, how am I supposed to know all of this within 4 years? And they just be looking at you like, figure it out. But, you know, I always tell people, like, I don't think college is for everyone. Mm-hmm. There are people who work at grocery stores, Buc-ee's. Mm-hmm. Buc-ee's is paying decent money. Mm-hmm. By the time I get out of college and graduate with my diploma, I can be making the same amount of money as they are. Mm-hmm. And they didn't go to school. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I just tell people, if you don't think college is for you, then don't even, because it is a lot more work than it seems as just the surface of it. Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of yes, I tell people all the time, especially at work, to put it on a calendar. Yes, honey, because I got a calendar too. Okay. I gotta organize my life. But I think one of the biggest things is, like, when you're Letitia asked a question, girl, we didn't answer it. What can we do as parents to keep our teens mentally occupied so that they don't get bored or burn out?
Okay. I was the opposite. I needed something to stop for me because it always felt like something was going for my mind to keep going. But I say bored or burnt out. Like, what do you mean by that?
I think, like, okay, so for me, Letitia, for Danylle in particularly, like, I'm talking about Danylle because Danyelle's schedule was super packed. Like, we're not even talking about the stress that Danylle dealt with when she was in gymnastics. That was a whole nother layer on top of school. So if you have your kid in outside sports that aren't even in school, that's a whole nother thing on top of them going to school. So what I would advise someone who has a teen and you do not cause burnout or getting bored is, one, first talk to your kid and pay attention to them. They usually will tell you the things that they are into and how can you build that bridge to find common ground. My prime example, me and Danylle, we talk in language of TikTok. If we literally probably go back and forth. and we will say TikToks and conversations, and it just makes us laugh. That's our common ground. We know that we're silly and we find these things funny, which opens up this door for us to talk about even serious stuff because we have this commonality and it allows that openness. The burnout part is recognize. You can start recognizing burnout, the way that they respond to you, being snappy, especially teens, being snappy, sharp. And sometimes, and of course, yes, sometimes our response is like, boy, don't be talking to me like that. But that could be an indicator that they are stressed and you are just another not there. And that's another thing. You are another thing on top of everything else. So give them a break. If you notice those things, then start pulling back. And when I say pull back on some of the activities that you have them in. Is football too much? Is baseball too much? Is basketball too much? Like camp. Y'all, we keep them occupied for very good reasons. I think as a teenager or even as a child of a single parent, the reason why we do that, because we don't want, we think idle mind, idle thoughts. We don't want them to have those, and we don't want them to be in different things. But spending time with your kids to understand what it is. Shanika said, yes, snappy and moody. Right. Like those can be indicators that they are stressed or there are other things. And then also the other thing that like now that's another layer on top of what our kids are dealing with is that they do have social media, and that's real. And sometimes even as adults, if we got to have a break from social media, your kids probably need a break. That's probably harder.
Don't also force the break from social media. Don't be like, I'm taking your phone because you've been on, like, no, sometimes that's our only downtime sometimes. Yeah. I know for me, when I used to go in my room, like 30 minutes, it's a little chilly in here. That was my downtime. And then my mom would be like, you're not spending enough time with us. And I'll just be like,
girl,
he's leaving alone. Like, back it on up. And then, then you like feel back. You're like, then let me just go spend time with them. Cause like I don't see them 24/7. By the time I get home from when I was doing gymnastics, by the time I got home, Kylie was asleep. Mm-hmm. Or when I woke up in the morning for a swim, y'all weren't up.
No,
I was the only one up, leaving the house about 5 o'clock in the morning.
And Letitia said, yes, common ground is definitely something I need to work on. Yeah, find the thing that connects y'all. If it's being in the car talking, then find ways to be in the car, to talk, to allow them to.
Yeah, ours is like watching TikToks, getting ice cream. I think me, you, and Kylie like to do that together.
Yes, and then Danylle recently told me she likes it when I go shop. When I say, "Oh, I'm going shopping," she was like, "Oh, okay, I'm coming." I think she comes because she think I'm gonna buy her something.
You do,
girl.
It could be a shirt, but it's better than nothing.
So that, and then like. For me and Kai are okay. So every child is different. And so that's the other thing. Like every child is different. Yeah. The same thing that you do for one child, it will, it just does not always work for the other kid. It just doesn't happen that way. Kylie loves to be in the room with me when I'm doing makeup. She wants to do my makeup. She wants to be in my makeup. She wants to do videos with me. Danyelle's not that kid.
I'll do videos with her, but I'm not the makeup.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. Like, find the thing that connects y'all. Find the thing. If it's being in the living room watching movies, if that's y'all's thing, then girl, start making a list of things and be like, okay,
so what movie
we gonna watch? Because I got a couple of movies I got on our list. Or find a whiteboard, buy a whiteboard, and say write down
movies on the list and put it in a hat and
boom. Yes, you know what I mean? Like, make it, and it's corny, but it's something to say, when they get older, they can say, my mom used to do that. Like, because Danylle does it to me now. She'd be like, my mom used to do.
Like, we filled out with that book. Well, I filled it out.
Whoa, calm down.
It's a mother-daughter book, and I'm the only one that has filled out the book.
That's because I got a lot of stuff on my plate. So, I'm trying. I see the book, and I at least tell myself mentally, Brandi, you need to fill out the book, girl.
It's been almost a month.
Girl. Okay.
So anyways, there was a question in there that was like,
oh yeah, that's a really good idea. You should buy a mom in Sun
She was
books.
a
See if there's
Sun.
one. I know,
Okay,
but see, but
whatever.
yeah.
Whatever. So there's this one where it was like when you were younger, you thought your mom or your parent was, right? And I thought my mom was rich because we used to go shopping every weekend. We used to go to the mall. We used to go to Ross. We was in and out of there all the time, whether it was Walmart, Target. We was out every weekend going somewhere. I thought my mom had money for days. Okay. I thought that was just like, it's just crazy to me because then when I found out, I was like, oh, money is like something that you have to earn. And now that I am my age with a job, I don't know how she went out and spent money every day because $20 to me, it just be feeling like my whole bank account is gone.
What did it say? Brandi, common ground. LOL. Fill out that book, girl. What does that mean? What does that mean?
That you need to fill out the book.
Oh, girl, yes. I need to fill the book out, girl. I need to fill the book
But
out.
I think
But it's funny because like even now we laugh at it. I mean, like when you're in high school, you are learning this new phase of your child. I want to tell you, it is not middle school. So where you think that you come in as a parent thinking that you're going to use the middle school tactics with a high schooler,
it don't work.
It don't work. Just shut that down. Just shut it down. It don't work.
Because
It's
we just
different.
gonna look at you. It's gonna be like,
yes. So like in high school, what I learned from Danyelle's high school endeavors in the years is that one, listen to her. Two, find something that y'all can connect in. Three, make sure they have a safe space to talk about things. And so if you have a son, like I have girls, so of course the girls naturally want to talk to their mom. If you have a son, then help your husband understand the importance of having a safe space where there's no judgment. And when I mean safe space, meaning like no judgment.
and y'all everything that you know and love and just
I mean, all of it. Yeah.
Push it back.
Because it was super important.
Your morals that you probably have, your kids' morals are probably different.
Well, I wouldn't say they're
not
different,
morals, but
it's
the
not
things that they,
I think
their point of view.
Yeah, their point of view. It's not really the morals. It's just of like,
because if I told you that I believe strongly in littering, like not littering, and I don't want nobody to go outside and any little piece of trash I picked up, that's my moral. What your moral could be, I don't really care about that stuff. I have other morals that are more important than litter. But one of my morals is litter. I don't like when people litter, or I don't like when people spit their gum out. To you, you just be like, okay, people spit their gum out on the ground. To me, I don't like that. The way we see things is different.
Yeah. So I think that's important for them, creating that space to allow them to be a little more expressive because you are the closest to an example more than anything. Because literally, like, as I'm learning with Danyelle, and I know we ran a little bit past time and we're going to get ready to close, is that with Danyelle, I learned that there are just some things. What I learned from Danyelle is that there was a lot of things that she didn't feel comfortable with because of the way that I would respond or the way that I would look at her. And so the safe space is really allowing them to let their hair down. You are the closest to an example of what they want to be or what they or some of the because they're taking stuff away from you. They're learning stuff from you. And so they go out in the world. And Danyelle has taught me like some of the things that I've taught her. She's
hearing it.
Yeah.
Danyelle, why would you say that? I'd be like, you be telling me that all the
So,
time.
just create that space where they can talk to you and to be able to express these emotions because they're still trying to figure it out and still trying to channel them through. And sometimes because we're adults, we now understand how to unpack some of that stuff. But if you don't, even as an adult, please, I can't say this enough. Just because I went through it, get a professional help to help you. And it's not to say that you're crazy. There's nothing wrong with you.
I will say this: when you do have to get professional help when you want it, because forcing yourself to go to therapy is just like, why am I even going? this is like, to you, it feels like a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I went to therapy, when you told me I was going to start going to therapy, at first I was like, I've already been to therapy before.
Mm-hmm.
When I was with my dad, I was like, I don't like it. But once I started going and I was able to open up about certain things, it was like, wow, I didn't even know that I was holding on to this, or that I thought this was even a thought in my head, or like, I don't know, just any. I think it's very important for kids to go. I know we just kind of think like, oh, like, okay, this is gonna sound crazy, but there's a TikTok sound that was like, it was like, it's like, it was traumatic to me, but for you, it was just a Tuesday. Like,
that's real.
That's real. Like, to kids, it's like, that was scary. That was horrible for me. I never want to go through that. But maybe for you, it was just like a regular old day. Like, oh, this is just another day. We'll be fine. And then your kids sitting back there like, no, we're not good. We're not fine.
Immediately, no. Immediately, no. I've seen.
So I think it's also important for kids to go, because there might be trauma that they've had since, I don't know, like elementary school that you may not know about.
Yeah. And it's affecting, and it's coming out in other ways. And so that's another thing. So like Shanika, I don't know if you're still on, but I know you were talking about being snappy and moody. That may be a result of something else too. So that's why I think it's important to have this open space, because there's a lot of things, and they may not come out and tell you everything all at once, but you'll start to see things and notice like, oh, something's wrong here. And so just, pay attention to those cues. So anyways, thank y'all all for being active. Y'all, I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank y'all so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have my daughter on. We
should do this again.
Boom. What? And then, so next week, if you're joining me next Friday, I'm going to have a life coach. Her name is Crystal, and I can't think of her last name right at this very moment. But Crystal's going to be coming on. She's a life coach, and she also has written 2 children's books. She's a hairstylist. And she's just doing beautiful things on transforming the lives of many people who have gone through or experienced any type of trauma, because she's experienced her own. So she's going to be coming on next Friday at 6:30, be a little bit of celebration, because I may have my birthday dress on, because your girl is going to be hanging because it's birthday celebration.
What you doing Friday?
Baby.
We're hanging out Friday.
No, we're not.
Yes,
Letitia said, I really enjoyed you ladies. Danylle, so proud of the young woman you have become.
Yes. Love you.
So thank y'all so much. Join me here next Friday at 6:30. Thank y'all so much for joining me, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye.